Okay, welcome to the deep dive. So today we're not just revisiting a popular series, right?
No, exactly. We're digging into some pretty thought-provoking analysis. It's from BuzzLab.
Yeah, looking at the Hunger Games, but, well, maybe in a light you haven't considered before.
That's the idea. BuzzLab's take isn't just about the story as, dystopian fiction.
Right.
It really drills down into how it mirrors, maybe surprisingly, aspects of our own world. We're trying to go beyond just the plot.
So yeah, if you've read the books, seen the films, maybe get ready to see Panem, Katniss, that whole journey through a bit of a fresh lens. Let's maybe start by just setting the scene again. Panem. BuzzLab paints it as this future North America, but with a serious power imbalance.
Absolutely. You've got 12 districts, right? And they're really struggling. Poverty, scarcity. It's a stark contrast.
To the capital.
To the capital, yeah, which is all about, opulence, excess. And the BuzzLab stuff really stresses that this division isn't just, like, background flavor. No, it's fundamental. It's key to how the capital maintains control.
And, well, central to that control is the Hunger Games itself. This brutal spectacle.
Yeah, brutal is the word. Every year, kids, literal children, forced into this televised fight to the death.
And BuzzLab points out it's explicitly designed as a reminder, right?
Yeah.
A very visceral one.
Exactly. Of the capital's total dominance. It's not just punishment for a past rebellion.
It's ongoing control.
It's ongoing psychological control. The whole ritual, the reaping, the broadcast, forcing everyone to watch it all reinforces who's in charge and who isn't.
Yeah.
The analysis really digs into how that annual trauma shapes everyone.
Okay, so that perfectly sets up Katniss Everdeen, District 12, 16 years old.
From the poorest district.
And her little sister, Prim, gets picked at the reaping. And Katniss, well, she doesn't hesitate. Volunteers to take her place.
It's this immediate, impulsive act of love, really.
And what I found interesting in the BuzzLab take was how that single act, that selflessness, just ripples out.
Totally. And BuzzLab makes a good point. Katniss isn't, like, setting out to be a revolutionary figure.
Not initially.
Not at all. Her skills, hunting, her instincts, that's all about keeping her family fed, basically, staying alive.
Right.
It's only when she's in the arena under that intense, capital-controlled spotlight that her actions start to mean more.
It's almost accidental at first, isn't it? The source materials suggest her just trying to survive, maybe showing a bit of defiance with PETA.
Yeah, like the berries incident. Or just refusing to play the game exactly as the capital wants.
And those actions, BuzzLab argues, they become sparks. They ignite something.
Precisely. The analysis really focuses on how she becomes this symbol, almost without meaning to.
A symbol of what, exactly?
Well, of a rebellion, sure, but also just basic humanity. In the face of all that calculated cruelty, resistance...
And everyone's watching.
Critically, yes. Both the capital trying to manage her and the districts starting to see a flicker of hope, maybe. They're interpreting everything she does.
So this one girl, trying to save her sister, inadvertently kicks off something huge, a catalyst. Now, BuzzLab also goes into where Suzanne Collins got the idea. And wow, that connection to our world is pretty stark.
It really is. The analysis points to Collins herself talking about channel surfing, flipping between, like, reality TV competition shows.
And news footage.
And actual news footage of war zones. That jarring contrast.
That juxtaposition.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? About how we consume entertainment, how we consume news, and where those lines blur.
That's such a powerful point from BuzzLab. This idea that entertainment can kind of sanitize or distract from real suffering.
Or maybe even uses similar techniques. It forces you to ask what we focus on, what we maybe become numb to.
And that's where Panem starts feeling, well, uncomfortably familiar, as BuzzLab puts it.
Definitely. They draw these direct lines between the capital tactics, the media control, the spectacle, and things we see in the real world. Media manipulation, huge wealth gaps, surveillance, political oppression in various forms.
You can't really ignore those parallels once they're pointed out, can you? The BuzzLab analysis really pushes you, the listener, to think about whether we see similar dynamics playing out. That eerily familiar capital versus, the struggles lots of people face.
And maybe it leads to a question for you, listening right now.
Yeah.
When you look around, do you see echoes of that? Information being shaped, big divides in opportunity.
It's a heavy thought. Moving beyond just the games themselves, BuzzLab also digs into the deeper stuff, the underlying themes.
Yeah, because it's not just about violence and who survives the arena, is it?
Not at all.
The analysis highlights themes like, identity, Who are you under that kind of extreme pressure?
In trauma, definitely.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely. The lasting impact of what they go through. And just that basic fundamental drive to survive, physically and emotionally.
and that forced relationship, the Katniss and Peeta showmance, that's a key example Buzzlev uses.
Right. They have to perform this love story for the cameras, for the sponsors. It's pure strategy.
A survival tactic.
Entirely. And BuzzLab really unpacks how that manufactured intimacy just messes with everything. What's real, what's performance,
That's why we remember they're being watched constantly.
every single moment. As BuzzLab emphasizes, anything could be broadcast, twisted, used to influence the audience, influence their chances.
So it raises huge questions about, well, authenticity. Can you even be authentic in that situation?
It's a core tension in the story.
And Buzzlev is clear. Just getting out of the arena alive, that's not the end.
Far from it. The real fight, the analysis argues, is against the whole rotten system that created the games. The psychological wounds, the societal ones, they remain.
Which is why the story feels so chilling, I guess.
Yes.
And powerful. Unforgettable, as Buzzlab says.
Exactly. It's not just the shock factors, those complex layers, those themes we just talked about that stick with you.
And clearly it stuck with a lot of people. The cultural impact Buzzlab describes is just massive.
Over 100 million books sold worldwide. I mean, that's incredible reach.
It really is.
And that number, BuzzLab suggests, points to something more than just a trend. Think about the fan communities that sprang up.
Oh yeah, the theories, the discussion.
The memes, the fan art, all that creative engagement, but also, and this is amazing, real-world activism.
That's the part that really stood out for me in the Buzzlab material, the three-finger salute.
Right from the books and movies, actually being used in real protests.
In Thailand, in Myanmar.
Hmm.
Buzzlab highlights this as fiction literally bleeding into reality, a symbol of resistance.
It's incredibly potent, and BuzzLab suggests the reason the story resonates so widely, why it had that kind of impact.
It is
because
nice.
it taps into something universal, perhaps, that feeling of being overlooked or unheard or oppressed.
Feeling powerless against a huge system.
Exactly. And it offers this narrative, maybe not of easy victory, but of hope, of resistance being possible. It speaks to that desire for justice, you know.
So, wrapping up this deep dive looking at the Hunger Games through Buzzlab's analysis, it really drives home that this is way more than just, a young adult thriller.
Absolutely. The BuzzLab perspective frames it as a powerful reflection, a mirror to some of our own societal anxieties, our inequalities,
And maybe a warning, too.
and then definitely a warning, yeah, about unchecked power, about manipulating media, about where things could lead.
It really leaves you, the listener, with a challenging question, doesn't it? Straight from the Buzzlab analysis, what would you do if the world was watching?
Yeah. It forces you to think about your own values, right? How you'd act under that kind of intense scrutiny, knowing your choices mattered beyond just yourself.
It's quite the thought experiment.
Ultimately, BuzzLab concludes, stories like this have this unique vital power.
Which is
The power to shine a light on uncomfortable truths about ourselves, about our societies. Truths we might rather not look at sometimes.
a powerful note to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Thank you.
We'll catch you next time.